From Erie Avenue to infamy, the rise of AR-AB. Abdul West, known to the streets as AR-AB, rose from the tough streets of North Philadelphia. His journey was not an easy one, marked by hardship and struggle. Erie Avenue was his battleground, his lyrics a reflection of the struggle. Every corner, every alleyway told a story of survival. He rapped about the drug trade, the violence, the desperation. His words painted a vivid picture of the harsh realities faced by many in his community. His words resonated with those who lived it. They found solace and strength in his music, a voice that spoke their truth. AR-AB's music was raw, authentic, unflinching. It was a mirror reflecting the gritty life of North Philadelphia, unfiltered and unapologetic. His voice became a beacon for the youth of his neighborhood. They saw in him a figure who had walked the same streets, faced the same dangers, and yet had risen above it. They saw in him a reflection of themselves, a voice for the voiceless. His music gave them hope, a belief that they too could overcome their circumstances. His popularity soared, his influence undeniable. He became a local hero, a symbol of resilience and determination. But success in the streets comes with a price. The same streets that raised him also posed the greatest threat to his newfound fame. AR-AB's lyrics weren't just words. They were a chronicle of his life, a life intertwined with the notorious original block hustlas. His music was a testament to his experiences, both good and bad. This gang, OBH, would solidify his legacy, but also seal his fate. The very elements that fueled his rise would also contribute to his downfall, a stark reminder of the perilous path he walked. OBH, a criminal enterprise in the heart of Philadelphia. OBH, the original block hustlas, was more than a crew, it was a force that dominated the streets, instilling fear and respect in equal measure. They controlled the corners, dictated the flow of drugs, and enforced their rule with an iron fist. Every transaction, every move was under their watchful eyes. Fear was their currency, violence their trade. They thrived in the shadows where the law dared not tread. AR-AB wasn't just the voice of OBH. He was their leader, a figure both revered and feared. His presence was commanding. His lyrics weren't metaphorical. They were a glimpse into their operations, their ambitions, their ruthlessness. Each verse was a testament to their reality. The lines between music and reality blurred, his words fueling the streets. His music was the heartbeat of OBH, echoing through the alleys and corners. Under AR-AB's leadership, OBH's notoriety grew. They became a symbol of power and defiance in Philadelphia's underworld. Their reach extended beyond Erie Avenue, their influence spreading like a virus. No corner of the city was untouched by their presence. Rival gangs took notice, the balance of power shifting. Tensions rose as OBH's dominance was challenged. The streets of Philadelphia braced for impact. The city was a powder keg, and OBH was the spark that could ignite it at any moment. Turf wars and bloodshed, OBH's reign of terror. The streets of Philadelphia became a battleground. Turf wars erupted, fueled by drugs, money, and the insatiable thirst for power. OBH, with AR-AB at the helm, became embroiled in a deadly game of survival. Rival gangs challenged OBH's dominance. Shootings became commonplace, the victims often innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. The streets ran red with blood, the violence escalating with each passing day. AR-AB's lyrics reflected the chaos, his words laced with aggression and defiance. He taunted his rivals, boasting of his crew's exploits. His music, once a reflection of the streets, now fueled the firestorm. Musical provocations, fanning the flames of conflict. Music became a weapon. AR-AB's lyrics, once a form of expression, transformed into battle cries. He called out his enemies by name, his words laced with threats and boasts of violence. His rivals responded in kind, releasing their own diss tracks, the airwaves thick with animosity. The back and forth escalated, each song a verbal assault, a challenge to the other's dominance. The streets listened. Every lyric, every threat, fueled the fire. The violence intensified, fueled by a toxic mix of bravado, desperation, and the power of music to incite. Section 5. The walls close in. The FBI's operation and AR-AB's downfall. The FBI, long aware of OBH's activities, launched a full-scale investigation. This wasn't just a routine operation, it was a meticulously planned and executed mission that involved months of surveillance and intelligence gathering. The agents knew they had to be thorough to bring down such a high-profile target. They infiltrated the gang, gathered evidence, and built their case. Undercover agents risked their lives to get close to the inner workings of OBH, documenting every transaction, every meeting, and every move. The evidence they collected was damning and comprehensive. AR-AB, blinded by his own notoriety, continued to flaunt his lifestyle, his lyrics incriminating him further. The net tightened. His music videos and social media posts showcased a life of excess and crime, providing the FBI with a treasure trove of self-incriminating evidence. Raids were executed, arrests made. The FBI moved in with precision, hitting multiple locations simultaneously to ensure that no one could escape. The operation was swift and decisive, leaving the gang with no room to maneuver. AR-AB, once seemingly untouchable, found himself facing a mountain of charges. The reality of his situation began to sink in as he was led away in handcuffs, his empire crumbling around him. His lyrics, once a badge of honor, became Exhibit A in his downfall. The very words that had made him famous were now being used to paint him as a criminal mastermind. The trial was a media spectacle. Journalists from all over the country descended on the courthouse, eager to cover the downfall of a rap icon. The public was captivated by the drama unfolding in the courtroom. Prosecutors painted AR-AB as a ruthless kingpin, his music a blueprint for his crimes. They meticulously laid out their case, connecting the dots between his lyrics and real-world criminal activities. His defense argued artistic expression, but the evidence was overwhelming. Despite their best efforts, the defense team struggled to counter the mountain of evidence presented by the prosecution. The jury was left with little doubt about AR-AB's guilt. Section 6. Life behind bars, AR-AB's sentence, and continued influence. The verdict was swift and decisive, guilty. AR-AB, the self-proclaimed King of Philadelphia, was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison. His empire, built on drugs, violence, and music, crumbled before him. But even behind bars, his influence lingered. His music continued to circulate, his legend growing in his absence. Some saw him as a martyr, a victim of circumstance. Others saw him for what he was, a criminal who used music to glorify his crimes. Section 7. The Price of Violence, Casualties and Community Impact. The gang wars that plagued Philadelphia left a trail of devastation. Lives were lost, families shattered, communities torn apart. The human cost of the violence was immeasurable. Innocent bystanders, caught in the crossfire, paid the ultimate price. Young people, seduced by the allure of the streets, lost their futures to violence and incarceration. The cycle continued, perpetuating a culture of fear and despair. Section 8. Beyond AR-AB. The cycle of gang violence continues. AR-AB's downfall did not signal the end of gang violence in Philadelphia. New players emerged, eager to fill the void, the cycle continuing unabated. Poverty, lack of opportunity, and easy access to firearms fueled the flames. Young people, desperate for a sense of belonging and purpose, were drawn into the life, seduced by the false promises of power and respect. Section 9. A city grappling with trauma, Philadelphia's scars. Philadelphia, a city steeped in history and culture, bore the scars of its ongoing struggle with gang violence. The trauma ran deep, impacting every facet of life. Schools struggled to provide a safe haven for students, many of whom lived with the daily threat of violence. Businesses closed, unable to thrive in a climate of fear. The fabric of the community frayed, trust eroded by suspicion and loss. Section 10. Seeds of Hope, Community Initiatives and the Fight for Change. Despite the challenges, glimmers of hope emerged. Community leaders, activists, and organizations worked tirelessly to break the cycle of violence. They organized peace marches, held vigils for victims, and created programs to provide young people with alternatives to the streets. They offered mentorship, job training, and educational opportunities, seeking to empower a generation trapped in a cycle of despair. Section 11. The Long Road Ahead, Breaking the Cycle of Violence. The fight against gang violence in Philadelphia is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires a sustained, multifaceted approach that addresses the root causes of the problem. Poverty, inequality, and lack of opportunity must be addressed. Investment in education, job creation, and affordable housing is essential. But most importantly, it requires a commitment from every segment of society to work together to create a city where all its citizens feel safe, valued, and hopeful.